And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Yes, I'm doing your part right there. Go ahead.
Big Josh McCarthy.
Big Josh McCarthy. You wish you were named McCarthy.
Oh, Lord.
Dude, you would have done
Lord.
so much better. Your entire career would have been a shining moment.
What's McCarthy?
What's
What is that? Like a Irish name?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the Irish name.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
The McCarthy Castle. It's in Ireland. You need to go to it. It's where the Blarney Stone is at.
Yeah, I've been told that Thomson is a Scottish name, and we fucking had William Wallace. So
You had William. Hold on. So you know, you had William Wallace,
yes,
and they took him and dismembered him.
It's all right, but he was a legend. Freedom! Freedom! Oh, yeah. And then guess what that led to? More fucking Daves. What the hell? Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone.
What you're saying is you
I love
and
it.
Podcast Dave are related.
No.
You're like brothers.
It's like the little brother I never wanted.
But then there's my Italian side and Josh's Mexican side, and I don't know if they get along. So
yeah, well, it's like I said, the little brother I never wanted. But then you realize that, like you're paying for him. Then it's like the son you never wanted. It's like no, I love this guy, man. He's a pain in my butt, but it's so funny, John. When we started, before you and I were doing the show together, I was doing a show with another guy. Yep. And man, the three of us used to get into it. And mainly Dave used to get into it with Sammy, and they would get into it back and forth. And I was like, man, it should drive me crazy. But it was funny at times, but not so funny. But then Dave and I would get into it too. And I'm like, God, I can see why Sammy has a hard time with you. And then we started doing the show, the three of us.
Thank you. All right, I want to hear this part.
And John had a hard time with them too a little bit, and I was like, maybe
I had to figure Dave out.
Yes,
because see what people don't know about our podcast, Dave. He is one of the he's a button pusher, but in a internet.
Oh, yeah.
Text savvy way. He'll say things at times that I'll have to look at it and go, is he? Oh, he's being a troll.
He's just trolling you.
He's just trolling, man. Look at him go. Right,
yeah.
And so I have fun with it now. But in the beginning, I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with this dude? This dude is absolutely the stupidest human being on the face of the planet, man. He's hysterical."
And then you realize I was a genius, and then now you get it.
Oh no! I want everyone to know, if you guys enjoy this podcast, you guys have been listening to us from the beginning. Okay, I deserve all the credit for holding this podcast together. It was just, man, it wasn't funny at the time. But man, I was talking one of you at one time off of a cliff. It was hilarious, but it's been worked out. We do now understand each other's sarcasm.
Off a cliff.
Sarcasm.
Oh, okay, hold on. I had to actually, as we started today, before you actually got on, I get on because I always wait for Dave to do his thing because I don't want to get big and then have to go off. It's weird. It's a weird thing with my system. But
John, you need to clarify those comments. You can't just be standing there for Dave to get big.
Well, Dave, when you do your thing, you do your thing.
When you get big, anyways, Dave gets big. I come back on.
Okay, so as we were talking yesterday through text, kind of, because I'm working and looking at my phone every now and then, and the texts are coming in as far as, hey, when are we? You want to do the show? We were going to do it yesterday, and then things. And Dave put out that one of the texts was, he says, well, I can do it at between this time and this time, 6 and 7. I can do it at this, but Tanya's got this at this, right? And I was just being a Dave. I was coming back saying, well, I can do it at this time or this time, but Babs is going to have a party at this time, but so-and-so is going to have a party at this time. And then I looked at it afterwards. I said it. I was just being a smartass. And then I thought, I hope he doesn't take me serious.
No.
And so first thing I said, hey, I hope you didn't take that one serious. Yeah. He goes, no. Yeah. So,
No,
I actually thought he was talking to you. I thought you were.
He thought he was talking to you.
Yeah, I go.
Can't even win.
No, but I was
Can't
just.
even win.
Dave has the texting of a troll, like when he's sometimes messing with you, and it's hilarious. It can be hilarious, it can be frustrating, but at the same time, this is what makes us laugh later on. Like when people say you'll laugh about it later, this is what we're doing right now. We're laughing about the first 4 years together. Man, it's been I just got back from California. We were over there visiting family and everything, and I got to be honest, John, this was the first time. This is the third time I've been back. First couple of times was for some other stuff, some work stuff one time, and then for a work trip, work event, Christmas party or whatever it was. This time was the first time I drove through from San Jose up to like near San Francisco in South City area there, and I was driving back in the morning after I had a physio appointment, like a physical therapist appointment, because of my CPI. It's for the injections I got for the stem cells. So they have me doing like some light therapy. So I'm driving back. I drive down first at like 6 a.m. because the appointment's at like 7:15. So
it's dark.
So it's dark. I'm driving down, 2 accidents, hour and a half. It takes me at least an hour and a half to get there. It's about an hour. It's about 50-minute drive. Anyway, as I get there, I'm just show up right on time. I'm like, okay, good thing I left early. Then as soon as we get done, the appointment's done around 8 o'clock, and I get like a snack of food, and I drive back. Well, traffic's going that way now at that time in the morning. It takes me almost an hour and 45 minutes to get back home. And I'm in the car driving back, and I'm going, I don't miss this at all. I don't miss it. Look, I miss my friends. That's sure. One thing. You're going to miss your family and your friends. And it's funny because I was driving in the car, and the person I was driving with, she goes, as we drive past this reservoir, and it's got beautiful like mountains where Santa Cruz is on the other side and Half Moon Bay is on the other side. It's beautiful. It's got like the fog coming off the reservoir water. It's amazing, right? Beautiful. 20 something years, me and this person have been driving past this fucking this reservoir. Never once as she said, this is beautiful. Because there's no trees, there's no mountains, we don't live near water outside of there's like big ponds in our community. And the water comes off, the fog comes off the water, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. And so there's things that I miss though. I've always enjoyed seeing views, whether it's like the beach, the mountain, the sand dunes, like whatever it is, golf, whatever it is. I love the golf, but it's people think I love the golf because, and like most people think that people love to golf because they love to play golf. And that's not true. I don't really love to play golf. I don't like to walk 19 holes. Or 18 holes. I don't like 19 holes. To the bar is the
well, you do walk to the 19th hole. So
is the bar. But no, I don't really like. I go there for the views, man. Like some of the scenery you can see on a golf course is absolutely amazing. And when you get into certain courses that are really taken care of and stuff, I know you're not supposed to, but I'll take my shoes off and walk barefoot, and I'll play the course barefoot. I fucking love it, man. It's so nice.
You got big old Flintstone
feet. Yeah, I do have Flintstone feet. I do. The only person I've ever met that has like more Flintstone feet than me, like mine are like, I don't have big feet. I wear size 11 and a half. I don't have big feet, but they're wide. But the only guy I've ever met was freaking Benson Henderson. He's got Flintstone feet.
That's a big old
those things, man. Jeez. Yeah. That's why I don't know.
Triple E.
Yeah, I don't know if it's how hard he kicks or if it's just the weight of those things. Just like a brick coming down on your like a tree, like just a tree stump.
Yeah.
But
it's the one thing and I love California, and it's a gorgeous state in a lot of places. But that was why I left was traffic. Time. Time is the most valuable thing you have.
Yeah.
People don't realize it, especially when you're young, but it is the most valuable thing you have, and how you spend it is important. Yeah. And when you're spending it sitting on a concrete strip with a bunch of cars around you and you can't move, and it takes you basically 3 to 4 more hours than it should for you to get from point A to point B, that's when I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And now I don't sit in traffic ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yep. My wife, just the other day we were driving, she goes, isn't it nice just to know you can just drive and you're never going to really hit traffic? And if you hit an accident, You either get out and help, or it's already taken care of. And
Are you sure that's just not because there's no roads where you are now?
Yeah.
well, that's only exactly where I live.
Yeah.
It's dirt now.
you may hit a cow or a pig or something crossing the road.
You could hit a cow. Dude, I tell you hit a cow, man, you're gonna fuck up your vehicle.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Did you see that video going online? This guy he like pulls up to a moose and the moose is, I don't know where they were at. Let's see.
Don't fuck with moose.
And he pulled up and he rolls down the moose. Oh, you big! He starts talking like he's a real man's man to the moose. Oh, you think you're tough? You think you're tough? Oh, move out of the way, moose.
That moose will fuck him up.
That thing took 2 steps back. Boom! Flat tire. Started cracking up because his wife was just telling him, "Don't mess with it." Da, da, da. And he's like, "Oh, you think you're tough, moose? Huh? Think you're tough, big guy? Da, da. And I'll get out this and smack you." And then it takes 2 steps back and boom, hits his car, flattened his tire. The guy's like, "Oh fuck!" And he turns the phone off because he's videoing it. I thought it was hilarious. You dummy. I've legit seen a moose. Like there was a dually. And there's this little back road that used to go to my dad's property up in Idaho. And he was in the middle of the road. There was a line of maybe like 15 cars behind it. We were stuck, nothing we could do. People don't realize how big they are. They're enormous, enormous. This thing is in the middle of the road, just looking right at the car. The dually nudges up and then he nudges it to try to get it to move off the road. That thing took 2-3 steps back and just fucking kept hitting the car until he pushed it off the road. Kept hitting the car until he pushed off the road. I was like, holy shit. I never thought they were that. I knew they were strong. I was like, it's too tall. It's never going to be able to get the leverage to get it. No.
Oh, no.
He just pushed the front end of it. That dually went from here just like to the front end was off of the road. And then people just drove around his car and you're like, you idiot.
Okay, this is like this kind of, if you have animals, if you're a farmer or something, you understand how minute your strength is comparatively, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like when I just went and got a donkey from some people and stuff, and so I have a baby donkey and the mom. Well, the mom doesn't know me and stuff, so I'm trying to get it in the trailer, right? Man, I'll tell you what, put the whole when that donkey decided I'm not moving, she wasn't moving. when I'm sitting there, I'm petting her, I put my arm around her neck, right, and I'm petting her, right. She decides to raise up her head. I was off the ground, whoosh, boom. Yeah. It's amazing how strong animals are. We are so weak in comparison. It's not even close. It's crazy.
I used to have a little bulldog. His name was McLovin, and he
I remember him.
He's everywhere. But I mean, you don't know, like just that little guy. I mean, when he decided he couldn't run, when he couldn't walk or run anymore, he would just sit. And then when you try to like pull him a little bit to give him like a nudge, come on, hop up. He was like, nope. There was just nothing. It was, and we took care of ours. Like he had a small waistline. Like he was not overweight or anything. He was just, bulldogs are stubborn. You've had bulldogs before.
Oh yes.
And they're the best, most lovingest dogs. They don't listen for shit. They're stubborn as hell. They make a mess. They blow their nose everywhere.
They sleep with their head upside down and their tongue on their eye.
Yeah. Yeah. But
all they do is fart.
This is true. They run through. You just can hear it
everywhere they go. And then they just look at you like, did you hear that? Yeah. Not only did I hear it, I got the other end of it too.
Well, like back to San Jose, like it was one of the things like I just realized I'm like when you're staying with family or you're staying with friends, you also feel a little bit like it's an inconvenience. And so it kind of makes you want to get out of the house too, and then you're being encouraged like, oh, you guys can't stay longer. And I'm like, I can see the looks on your faces. Like it's hard as a grown man having people that stay in your house for longer than say like 2-3 days. It's like, okay, like 1 day, 2 days, especially when the kids are around, they're all playing, having a great time. It's great. There's moments where you just need, even when you have your own space, it's like you don't really have your own space. And you have that feeling of, all right, I just want to get to my house. I just want to get home. And, and you miss the family and the friends a lot, but it's like you just comes a point where, like you said, time is the most important thing. And spending time with your whether wife and kids or, whoever you live with, whatever it is, your partner or whatever, it's up to you. It just, it feels good. It feels good just to be relaxed, and, I got laid in bed. I just laid on the couch, watched some TV and feet up and the Christmas tree on. I was like, oh, this is nice. Nice fireplace going. Felt good, John, to be home. Felt good.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, we got a lot of fight announcements that Dana came up with. What, yesterday, I believe, right? Was it yesterday or the day before? But I think it was yesterday. He was trying to cram them all in before Christmas, and he came up with some good ones, man. Came up with some real good ones. So we thought we'd run through that, and then we're gonna have a midweek show. We are gonna have a weigh-in awards before New Year's for the 2023 year. So John and I will do it. We're gonna pick a couple categories we're gonna talk about. We're not gonna do like a full, all this other stuff.
Craziness.
Yeah, craziness. But we will do a panel, and we'll throw one or two in there that are fun. And then
so no MMA clothesline of the year.
Clothesline. Well, if Riddle does come back to fight, we could just put him right in there.
Ooh, I like that.
There we go. I think he's got does he have a pretty good clothesline there, Dave? Don't they all? Don't they all? All right.
They all do.
They all do. All right. Well, then we're going to talk about these fights, and then John and I are going to do something special for you guys. We're going to do a thing called Matchmaker. We're going to put together just a 5-card fight that we'd like to see. Maybe we'll start doing this little thing, maybe once a month. Where we can kind of just throw something in we talk about the fights that could be made and that we would like to see that are in the top 10 or in the top, whatever it is. But a 5-card fight. If I was to stack and make like, hey, what could my fight?
Now you're changing it up. We were just saying. I thought we were going to do 3 from the UFC, 2 or 3 from the PFL.
Okay.
Of ones that are coming and stuff. We can't put those all in the same card because then we're doing what we said we weren't going to do, and that's cross promote. Can't do that.
Okay. So do you want to do a 5-fight card just for the UFC and then a 5-fight card for?
All right, that sounds good.
Okay,
we'll do that.
We can do that.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
That means I actually have to think now.
Jeez.
Damn.
I need to do research is what I got to do. All right. Well, hey, Dave, what else you got for us? What else you got for? What do you have for us? What do you want to start off with? Okay, lead the show, here, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, let's start with the first fight announcement. Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega is going to be a 5-round co-main in Mexico City.
Well, as I like to say, is that everyone, this is a rematch. Okay.
I love it.
Oh man. John and I were joking about it after. I was like, wait, John, have they fought before? And then John goes, yeah, they have. And I'm like, eye poke, right? And he goes, no, dummy. And I'm like, just start going on. I'm like, I don't recall it being like that good of a fight though. Like it wasn't long or anything, right? What happened then? He's like, shoulder, dummy. So I'm like, that's right. So that's why Brian's been out for so long. All right. Well, hey, before we get started on this first matchup, though, make sure you guys subscribe to us down below. Hit that little subscribe button and also hit the bell and the notifications. Look, it's the holiday giving time. You can give us a subscription. Follow us down there below. And I want to thank you guys for continuing.
It's like a Christmas present.
It's a Christmas present. Hit that subscribe button. We want to thank you guys. We're going to continue to give you guys some content. And if you guys hit that bell and the thumbs up, the bell will give you a notification when we drop our midweek shows. They will drop a little differently this week because really no one's at work, and some people that are at work, it gives you something to listen to while you're at work or on the road, driving to work. So hit that subscribe button.
Really what we're talking about is we got Podcast Dave. He's at work. And then there's the two bums that are you and I.
Yeah.
Nice assessment.
Thank you very much. See, Dave?
Nice
I'm on your side now.
John, how do you think this fight's going to go?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. You take a look at this fight. It was going in a fashion. Yair had gone to the ground. You would never think, a lot of people were going to sit there and say, oh, it was a submission. It wasn't a submission. He went to pull his arm out. The shoulder separated. Shit happens. That's part of the human anatomy. I'm not saying that Yair didn't have something possibly to do with it, kind of, maybe. But this is a fight where you really didn't get to see what was going to happen. The one thing that you saw was the fight could end up on the ground, because the real thing you're looking at is in the stand-up. Look at Brian Ortega is a tough, mean, ornery bastard who I've known him since the start of his career, and I love him, and he is a great person. His stand-up has gotten better and better, but Yair's stand-up is dynamic, and his stand-up is so fluid in the way that he goes about it, and you have got to take him out of his comfort zone. Now, he's not bad on the ground, but he's not as good as Brian Ortega on the ground. So they both have their strengths. Both are good, well-rounded fighters. The real question is, can Brian put Yair in a position where he's uncomfortable? He's got to do that, and he's got to put him on the ground for it to be a fight that I think that he can win. Because if it's on the feet, I look at Yair Rodriguez basically just putting shots on Brian and making it a difficult night. The fight's got to end up on the ground with Brian Ortega in control of the positions of that fight for him to get the win. That's the way I look at it.
I would say yes normally. I would probably agree with every little assessment that you just made. Where is Yair mentally, though, after that last fight?
That's a good, it is a good question. And it's one of those, he's not riding the high. He's coming off of a low, and one that he did not perform like he believed he could against that person.
Yeah. I mean, at his age, the motivation is there. I know that it could have, he's been able to perform under the bright lights, but there's a difference when you step in there for a title shot, for a real title shot, for that, to become the man. There's a difference. Like everything, it seems like, man, this is everything I've worked for. You need the opportunity.
It is.
And it didn't perform. And to have that over him coming into this fight, knowing that Brian's beatable, that he can beat him if he fights a good fight. He doesn't need to fight a perfect fight. He just needs to fight a good fight. He's got good takedown defense. He's got great stand-up. He mixes it up very well. Brian is very susceptible to being hit. We've seen him when he fought Max Holloway. We've seen with other guys. He gets hit. He's opened up. Yeah, Volkanovski. He opens up a lot when he strikes, and he gets hit clean. He's got a great chin. He can take a shot. We've seen he's a dog. He's someone that will stay in the fight no matter what. He chooses not to try and get out of there. I guess when I'm looking at this fight, I'm going to look at it from a couple different ways. Okay, one of the ways is Brian Ortega can stand with him, but he's got to fight him more in a phone booth. He's got to put that pressure, keep Yair on the back foot. Yair still can fight. Yair's probably one of the best guys off of his back foot. He gets up. He gets the head kicks up real fast. Okay, the little kick to the thigh and the calf, very good. Like, he's very good at fighting off his back foot. He can handle the pressure. He circles out very well. All of those things. He's got great cardio. In the last fight, it looked like he just had a hard time dealing with the actual title fight pressure. He doesn't have that pressure now. I think you're going to see the old Yair back. But I would like to say that Brian can stand with him in spurts, and he can, if he pressures him, will make it uncomfortable. Brian, I think, has got the power, though, too. If he starts landing a little bit on him, Yair may start kind of, not second guessing, but he might start thinking about if this is going the way that his last fight went. It's easy to start thinking about that. Oh, man, do I still have it? Oh, man, I know he's young. I know he's still young. But those thoughts, believe it or not, fighters start questioning themselves in that cage. When you're coming off of a loss, I don't want to lose 2 in a row. He's thinking about that. There's a lot that goes through his mind, John. You know that.
It's part of being human. It's just, the human mind goes in, and people think that, oh, you're so focused on everything. You're thinking sometimes about thoughts that have nothing to do with what you need to be thinking about right now.
Yeah.
And you're right. I agree with you in that if I'm Brian Ortega, I need to put him on his back foot. I need to fight within a boxing range, taking away the kicks of Yair, because he's got dynamic kicks as much as I can just with my placement and my footwork. But Yair Rodriguez fights well on the inside still. A lot of people don't give him credit. He can fight at distance. He can fight on the inside. Take a look at just even, when people are closing space on him, he does damage. Look at what happened with the Korean Zombie in that upward elbow. Yeah. And that was a fight he was losing. There was no doubt he was losing that fight. And that last second elbow, that was done in tight. He's dangerous.
But this fight on the ground, I look at it. I know. I agree. Brian Ortega's got heads and shoulders above him above him in terms of the ground. But Yair's no slouch off of his back, and he's no slouch when he's on top either. But we saw in the last fight, he threw up that triangle and started attacking aggressively on Brian. I think that kind of gave Brian a little bit of a reality check. Like, oh, He's not afraid of me on the ground. He's okay with, mixing it up with me on the ground. But I look at the same way that you look at Brian on the feet, the same way we look at Brian on the feet. He's got to do it in spurts. He can't allow himself to just hang out on the ground, or Brian's going to tear him up. Yair's got to make his submissions, look for his submissions. Moments. Yeah. Look for his sweeps and his submissions, and then look to get back to his feet strength. And circle and get away. And when he circles to get away, he's got to make Brian pay. So as he's circling out, he's got to make sure that he's making Brian respect him. As I circle, boom, throw a little leg kick. Boom. As I circle through the right hand, head kick. Whatever it is to keep his hands loyal to his chin. Because otherwise, Brian's going to keep just rushing after him and walking him down and trying to land the big shot. So I want to see where Yair is mentally, which I think he's going to be back on track. I understand, just wasn't my night. And it showed when he came out, he wasn't fighting his style of fight. It showed that it wasn't his night. And then with Brian, my concern with Brian is a legit concern, is that in his last, can you pull up his record? In his last, I think 4 fights, he's dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of big time fights, but there we go. He's only won 1 in his last 4. Max Holloway, Alex, and Yair, all 3 studs that he's lost to. Don't get me wrong. And then he beat Frankie before that.
Only once a year, too.
That's what I'm concerned about, is the inactivity. And then on top of it, it's not inactivity as in, let me just take some time and, and rest and train. And no. It's inactivity from injuries or from, I think he broke his orbital in the Max fight.
He did not fight. Oh yeah. He did not fight in 2023.
So
did not fight.
It's a long time off. I'm excited to have him back. But when he comes back, he's only fighting. Every time he comes back, he's only fighting the best guys, which I give him credit for. But you sometimes need a fight that you can get yourself back into the rhythm of training and flow. You can breathe. Okay, let me get this win. I got this win. But a lot of that has to do with with one thing with not just the UFC, with one thing with your promoter, is you're having to fight all the best guys. Maybe you want it, but it has to do with the money. They must be paying you really well if they keep continuing to give you the number 1 contender every single time.
Yeah.
But it puts him in a position to fight for the title again, Brian Ortega.
The other thing he's got to really, you've got to take into consideration, this is being fought in Mexico City. That's 7,000 feet up. You better get your ass to Mexico City about a month before that fight and get yourself prepared for that elevation. If you don't, it's going to have an effect on the fight.
Yeah. Cain Velasquez knows, And
that's a guy that, everyone looked at. That's a cardio monster. And he is. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to, it doesn't change. Yeah. It's the location changed, and you could see the effect. That was
not the last time. The first time I ever saw Yair was in Mexico City. He came out, he exploded onto the scene with all this flying stuff. Had a great fight. That was the same card that Eddie Alvarez and Gilbert Melendez fought.
Gilbert Melendez. That was because they had the Latin America tough.
Okay.
And Yair was one of the finalists in that.
Yeah. And man, I was like, man, this kid's everywhere. I was like, holy shit.
He was everywhere.
But no, great cardio. But I've noticed that the fighters that normally have great cardio are the ones that struggle at altitude.
Yeah.
And
because they're not used to that.
Yeah. Yep, it's that push. They're used to just being able to push through the fatigue. And when we had Cain, if you guys haven't seen, we had Cain on recently, probably about, a month and a half ago. We had him on. And he talked about his experience and that type of series. Like, I just got back to the corner after the first round. He's like, I was just dead. No feeling like I couldn't lift my arms. I was dead. I was like, water, like they gave me water in my mouth. They just poured right out.
It's just something that you, as someone like Cain, you are unfamiliar with that, while someone else might be familiar with it because that's just the way they normally are. When you're unfamiliar with it, it has an effect. I mean, and it's like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you is you're not getting as much oxygen.
Yep. And when I went back and talked to Gilbert after that fight, and I talked because he fought Eddie Alvarez on that card, the two of them, That card, both Eddie and him looked exhausted after
They
like a
were.
round. It was just they came out slinging, and then the fight just started fading. There wasn't a lot of activity, and everyone's like, "Man, this has got to be the altitude." And I always wondered why do promotions even bother? Why even bother doing shows?
You want to know why?
Huh.
Here's the truth. And I've always said this, and it's just, it has nothing to do with whatever promoter it is. Oh, we want to go there. That's because you're not fighting.
Yeah.
That's because you're not having to deal with where you want that fight to be. It's a bitch. I don't care who you are, man. It has a significant impact on the fights.
Yeah. It actually does. And sometimes the impact is so much that the fight doesn't end up being good.
Yeah.
Which sucks because like a fight like this, you hope that it ends up being good, which I think it will. I've yet to see Brian in a boring ass fight. The guy he fights his ass off. So I'm looking forward to this fight, this rematch, of course. This rematch.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm glad you pointed that out to me.
And John, we didn't even talk about the fact that it's 5 rounds.
Oh, that is true because it's a co-main because the main is going to be Brandon Moreno and Albazi.
Yep.
And so the fact that they made this, they looked at it and said, hey, this has got to be a 5-round fight. I agree with them. Again, I may not agree if it's in Mexico City, but it does need to be a 5-round fight. Yeah. These guys are of that level. And it's too short to have it as a 3-round fight. I know that sounds weird, but it really is.
Well, the only reason why I think it should be a 5-round fight is because it should be a title eliminator. Whoever wins this fight should fight for the title. I know Yair just got a shot, but I think he should. I think there should
he's right there still.
Yeah, he's still right there. And I think if Brian beats Yair, I think he should get a title shot. Both of them. So whoever wins gets a title shot after who's fighting next for the title against
Topuria or Volkanovski.
Yep. And if Topuria wins and beats Volk, then Yair would end up fighting Topuria.
No, because you know what's going to happen.
They're going to do a rematch. Automatic rematch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Automatic.
And hold on, you gotta look and say, we say it all the time. Yeah, it depends on. That's a situation with Volkanovski. Yeah, he deserves it. If he lost to Topuria, he would deserve that rematch.
I think if Volkanovski lost to Topuria, he should take about 6 months off and enjoy
I
time.
know, but he won't.
He won't. But I feel like he should take 6 months off, come back invigorated. Just kind of that excitement to be back in the training room, excitement to be back inside the cage. Give your brain some time to heal. Those kind of things. Do a bunch of mushrooms, all that stuff. So, all right. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, next fight here. We got the third attempt to Paulo Costa versus Robert Whittaker.
It is a third attempt, and I think this is a great matchup. I've said it before. I thought, I was upset when it fell apart, the couple times before, but they keep on trying to put this back. So someone recognizes that this could be a hell of a fight. It really depends on which Robert Whittaker comes. If it's the guy that does look for takedowns or time, or if it's the guy that is always just, I'm good being on the feet. I'm not sure that that's the fight you want to be in with Paulo Costa. People can say whatever they want about Costa. He has proven he's got a chin. He can take big shots. He's got power. He's got speed. He does get a little tired in that third round. That's happened, in the past and stuff. But this right now, if you're Paulo Costa and you take a look at those 2 times that they had this fight scheduled, and now looking at Robert Whittaker, you're going, now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Paulo Costa hasn't fought, though, since Luke Rockhold, correct? Because he pulled out of a fight in between. Was it this fight that he pulled out of? I thought it was another fight that he pulled out of.
No,
wasn't it him and Strickland?
Chimaev.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This fight on the feet could be a fun fight. I think Whittaker may try to get a couple takedowns, but I don't think he's going to shoot raw dog and just be out there just trying to shoot to get the fight to the ground. I think he's going to get into the exchanges. And when they get too close, he'll try to get the takedown from there. On the feet, I think the kicks to the calf kicks and all those things from Whittaker will lead to some good stand-up exchanges. He just got to be very careful in that first round. Paulo Costa got a lot of power. He's got power in the second and the third, but the activity is not there.
Not as much, yeah.
And look, when you're approaching somebody like a Paulo Costa, the way you approach them is it's dangerous, but you approach them as in a automatic pressure, try to make them fight off their back foot, make them use energy even when they're not fighting. And Rob Whittaker has the fight IQ to do this. He can make him miss, make him pay, keep him on the back foot, make him circle, make him do all the things to make him uncomfortable, which burns more energy, even without him throwing punches. And then when he does explode, he explodes because he feels that pressure. Oh, you're getting too close. It's like a dog that's like sitting back in the corner, just waiting and waiting. He's just angry and getting mad. You're getting too close. He's growling at you. He's barking at you. He's doing all these things. And finally, he has to lunge at you and snap at you. He uses a lot of energy. How lions are pretty much. You know, they wait, and then they explode. And then obviously, lions don't hunt for very long. If they don't get their prey, they don't get their prey. That's how I feel like when I watch Paulo Costa fight. That's how he is. He waits and he waits and he waits, and then he explodes. A little bit like Yoel Romero. He waits and waits and waits, and then he explodes, and he uses a lot of energy, and then he tries to wait for his tank to fill back up again before he can go and get another piece of the action. Robert Whittaker's got to put that uncomfortable pressure against him, in that first round and make him use as much energy as he can. Because kind of like how my career went, was the first round I normally lost and had to win rounds 2 and 3. I feel like that's the way he's got to approach this fight, Robert Whittaker. He's got to take chances in the first, maybe give up the first round, okay? But second and third, he's got to really pour it on. He's got to make him fight. You got to make him wrestle. He's got to make him do everything in his power to make it a full MMA fight. And then I think he'll start maybe to pull away. Because you look in that Luke Rockhold fight, John, he was tired. He was exhausted like Luke was. Both of them were exhausted.
It was in Utah also.
Yes, this is correct. It was in Utah. So, I think if Whittaker fights him that way, I think he can have a successful night.
Yeah. But it's a great fight. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So. Next one, Dave.
Yuri Prochaska and Alexander Rakic at UFC 300.
Is this the main event?
No.
Come on.
Oh, sorry, UFC 300. I'm sorry. I was just thinking something. I was thinking this was like a fight night main event.
This might not even be on the main card.
Shut your whole mouth with that nonsense.
I'm telling you, man.
There is no way they're not going to have this fight on the main card.
You watch.
John, these guys are both, first off, they're what, 205 pounders?
Yes.
Heavier guys always get the nod. Okay, the lighter guys will miss. They won't be on the fucking main card.
Stand by.
Right? This fight will be on the main card.
I'm going with Dana.
What?
Dana has said you're going to see guys, ex-champions, people, first fight of the prelims.
Yep. The way he's spinning it makes it sound like we're going to have 5 title fights in the main card. That's the way he's kind of setting things up right now.
That's a 5-hour night.
It's a long
night. A long night. That's a 5-hour main card night. People are they're going to lose interest.
No.
He's not stupid. He's not stupid. We tried to do 4, right? For Bellator.
Yep.
And it fell apart.
That didn't work.
And I got to be honest, I was glad it fell apart, John. Because once you realize 4 title fights, if all 4 go the distance. If all
5 go, man, we're in real trouble.
Yeah, if all 4 go the distance, they all go 5 rounds. Your crowd, depending on the fight, it could end up being, your crowd just ends up getting restless. And people at home end up getting restless. And so, but this fight, I think, this is a tough fight for Rakic coming back off of the knee injury.
Yes.
But
especially coming back with someone as awkward as Jiri.
Because no matter how much you watch Jiri, he's not the same guy he was the fight before. He has some little tendencies that are the same, but he's not the same. He'll spinning back fist. He'll do 2 spinning back fists back to back. He'll try to wrestle one fight, and some fights he'll just try and stand. You never know what you're going to get. That's what makes him fun and entertaining. But I always thought, because I'd never seen Rakic really he got pushed in a couple fights, but I haven't seen him with somebody that I think that could get him off track. I was looking at Rakic kind of being the next he's got tall, he's long, he's built like a Greek god. Like he's got a great fight. He's got a great fighting style. He's slick on the feet. I think this is one of those fights where this could be his coming out party if he hasn't lost a step. He's been out for a year and a half. 18
Been
months.
out-
Or so. It's been
been
a
out a while.
while. It's been a while. But I like this fight a lot. I do like it. I just want to know if we're going to get somewhat of the same guy we saw when he was leaving, because he was operating at a very high level when he left.
It's a tough fight to come back on from a long layoff, because you're looking at fighting a guy who was just in, he was the champion, gave up the title, then came back, lost it to, his attempt to regain it from Alex. But man, it's a tough fight.
I mean, how does John? You got to give me more than that, man. We can't let our fans just walk away with just that. It's a tough fight. It's just a tough fight. John, give me more. How does Jiri get it done? How does
stand up wise? I look at Rakic. He's obviously the more technically smooth stand up fighter. Not that Jiri's not smooth. He does things that are unorthodox, and he fights out of a kind of a bladed karate stance a lot, but it's his ability to control that range by that awkwardness and unorthodox style. So what happens with many fighters with him is they stop. All of their offensive production becomes they wait, because they're waiting to counter him, and they wait too long, and they get hit, and their counter doesn't either go off or it doesn't land on its mark, and he just starts taking those shots and putting them on you and more, and they just start adding up. If I look at the ground, Jiri's a lot better on the ground than people understand. He's got great top position. Off of his back, he's not that good, but on the ground in the top position, he's got a hell of a base. He's hard to move, and he can control a lot of fighters. And Rakic is not one that I think is going to be able to just get up from him. It's going to be tough for him to get up. So he's got to be careful about getting taken down. Now, Jiri sometimes will go for takedowns, sometimes won't. You just never know. But he will work out of the clinch. And when he works out of the clinch, his clinch work is actually damn good. He throws good sharp elbows. He throws a lot of knees to the legs, which just slows down his opponent. He's very systematic in the way he approaches breaking down his opponent. Rakic has got to, in my opinion, be offensive. He's got to be the lead. Don't wait. If you wait on Jiri, you're probably going to end up second best. So you've got to be the lead. Be the person that goes out there. Make him have to deal with what you want to do.
That was much better than this is a great fight.
Thank you.
That was much better. Man, I got to sometimes pull it out of you.
It's one of those, it's hard to, I feel bad for Rakic in the fact that he's coming off a knee injury. Anytime you come off of a knee injury, even after you've been in practice, you always worry about that first kick, the first time that you shoot, have to drive off of it, all those things. It's just like, is it going to be there? And then when it is, it kind of sets you free a little bit. But he's got that going. He's got a long layoff going, and he's got the fact that he's fighting an unorthodox guy who is tough. So,
Dave, can you pull up the two of them and the side by side? I want to see the reach. I want to see the height. Rakic, I feel like, is the taller, longer fighter, but they are.
No, he's not. He's definitely not taller. They're right about the same.
Around the same.
Yeah.
I just feel like when I see
Rakic,
last time I saw Rakic in there, he got hurt. But I'm saying that he seemed like he was a lot bigger than his opponent that he was fighting.
I think,
or just body wise.
They're both close to 6'4".
Man, that's insane.
As far as
I'll get this thing right now.
Yeah, no worries. But I look at
Dave's
Rakic.
working hard right now.
Yeah, I look at Rakic though too. I think the UFC understands what they have with him. They look like they were kind of putting him in his last fight. Who did he lose to his last fight? Was it?
Which one?
No, Rakic.
Wasn't it Jan?
Oh, Jan.
It was Jan. Yep.
Jan. Okay, because it looked like he was getting ready to be set up for a title shot if he won that fight. I think he was seeded number 5. I think 4 or 5 at the time.
Yeah, he was right in there.
Yeah, he was right in that mix. So for them to even start considering you into that mix, normally there's been some sort of contract negotiation that says, hey, we want to make sure we have you locked for about 5 fights, 6 fights, somewhere in there before we start telling you get a title shot. And yeah, I think
So Jiri's 6'4" and Rakic 6'5".
Okay. And then
Both
reach.
the same age.
What do we got on reach there? We don't have it.
It doesn't show reach.
It's okay.
Nah, it's the one thing it doesn't show.
It's okay. But I mean, I look at Rakic and I was like, he seems like he's he's like you said, the karate style stance makes him long. He fights long, a little bit like a Machida. He is bladed a lot more. I love that style because when you're fighting someone like a Jiri, he's going to walk down. The thing is, Jiri doesn't have great wrestling, like you were saying. He sometimes will shoot takedowns. His wrestling's not great. His timing, though, on the takedown attempts is not bad. I mean, if you go back and watch some of his fights, in the exchanges, he knows when to shoot. He'll shoot as you're committed to your strike. So he'll shoot off of those. And his timing on it is pretty damn good for someone who doesn't wrestle a lot. The style in which he gets takedowns is not great. You know, it's kind of a let me grab the waist and hopefully I can drag you down or try to get under the butt.
He doesn't come, but he also doesn't come from a conventional.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Background too. So,
but this fight does have me excited. This fight will be the opening fight on the main card, John, because John just put it all the way down to the opening fight on the prelims. That's what he said earlier.
It may be the preliminary main event. How's that?
Man, put some respect on these guys' names.
I got respect for both of them, but supposedly that card, I'm believing what Dana White says is going to be unbelievable.
Okay. But let's look at this, though.
Okay.
You have that fight right there that we just talked about, and then you've got Aljamain Sterling and Calvin Kattar.
Preliminary fight.
I'm putting that fight on the main card over the big guys, but it won't happen. It won't happen. You're going to put the big guys on there first because the little guys get no respect.
So you're saying this is a preliminary fight? Preliminary fight.
I'm saying that Dana's going to put it on the prelims because Dana doesn't like ALJO. Like we like ALJO. We love ALJO. I love ALJO.
I like ALJO.
I want to see ALJO get some respect on his name, man. This is a great fight. Calvin Kattar stylistically is a perfect matchup for him.
First fight at 145.
Yes, I know. But John, if I was going to pick a fight for ALJO in the 145-pound division, it would have been Calvin Kattar. It would have been Calvin Kattar.
Because you believe that he can out-grapple him.
Yes. I don't believe it.
Right.
I know he can out-grapple him.
Well, hold on. That's if he can get him to the ground.
He can get him to the ground.
Don't be too sure, baby.
He can get him to the ground.
Calvin, I'll tell you what. Calvin's going to be putting some strikes on Aljamain.
Mm-hmm.
He's very tight with his stand-up. Mm-hmm. He's good at keeping his hands down low also. He doesn't keep his hands real high. Keeps his hands a little bit lower, and that helps him with his takedown defense. You know that's true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's got pop. And if there's one thing that we've seen, if the ALJO is he's a phenomenal fighter, but guys that have power give him problems because it slows down his takedown attempts and his ability to get inside. Mm-hmm. Which is that's not just him, that's fighters. You know, power makes a difference because it makes you go, ooh, I can't get hit by that much.
Yeah. I look at, if you go back and watch the Cain Velasquez RDA fight number 2, not number 1, is
they never fought though. They never fought. RDA is too small for Cain.
Oh, this is right. Sorry. I understand. Oh, did I say RDA?
You did.
Oh man. Okay. So
JDS.
Yeah, JDS. Sorry. RDA, man. Anyway,
RDA, JDS.
It's a 3-name thing.
All the same. It's like alphabet.
Yeah, it's a 3-name thing.
It's like alphabet.
So JDS, if you watch that fight, Cain takes out the equation of him being hit or clipped real hard by shooting low-level singles for the first 2 minutes of the fight until he can work his way up to the bottom. Almost crawling after him. Look, at points like this in the fight when ALJO fought Sugar Sean, you got to let and I know this wasn't an ego thing. I'm just simply saying, Cain put his ego to the side and was like, there's no way I'm losing to this guy. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care if I have to look like I'm crawling after him or I am crawling after him in the first round. But once I work my way up to this body, he's going to get the business. And that's exactly what happened in that fight. ALJO needs to because Calvin Kattar's he does kick, but he doesn't kick a lot.
No,
he's boxing centric. Yeah. And so in that, when I look at that, I'm like, he's going to have to reach real down to get it. Like, it's kind of the approach I should have taken with Patricky. It very much should have just said, you know what? Shoot low level, keep chasing him, keep making him work. You know that they're not going to jump on you and try to and try to submit
No,
you. They
they're gonna
know
back off and make you get up.
Yep,
So
exactly. So what?
You're in the same spot.
I'm in exactly where I would have been had I not gotten it. So this is it. Better than getting clipped. Aljo's got to make that happen for the first round. Make him fight by backing out, trying to fight off his back foot. Go and take a look at. I don't know. Some people maybe didn't think it was a great fight, but the style and the fight IQ of John Fitch when he fought Rory McDonald. Sorry, man, but it was brilliant. It was smart. I mean, it just looked like your opponent's constantly running from you. He's not having any offense because he's afraid to pull the trigger because I'm going to shoot on you. If you fight that style of fight, I think that Aljo can he can control the back, and once he gets to the back, he'll be there for the whole round. I believe he'll be there for the whole round if he doesn't get the submission.
No, he definitely has the ability to stay there.
You know, I look at him and Patchy Mix very similar in certain styles. You know, they're grappling, a little bit of their wrestling. I'd say Aljo's got a little bit better wrestling, but Patchy doesn't take the chances to shoot. He knows how to get there with his strikes into the body lock. He utilizes different types of position to get in tight. Single leg to the body lock, get the hooks, the grapevine. They're a little bit different in the wrestling category. Patchy has a unique style, which benefits him. And then Aljo used more of a wrestling centric to get in on it. But definitely very entertaining fight, man. This to me, I think is a better, I don't say better. They're both great fights. But the 205-pound fight that we just talked about for sure will make it higher than this fight. And this fight to me interests me a lot more. Sorry, man.
So,
little guys.
So go ahead and say it.
They're going to end up on the prelims. They're going to end up on the.
We'll see.
This is 300, right?
Yeah, this is
300. Yep.
Yeah, they're going to end up.
That's a great fight. It is a great fight.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, you got to give it up. You know, Aljamain going up to 145. He ain't taking an easy fight. Kattar can fight, man. He's
can.
A stud, so.
Wait, pull up the 145-pound rankings. I mean, John, if you were to look for a matchup for him, for Aljo, who would have been a perfect matchup for maybe Brian Ortega, but Brian's fighting for the title. But I would say who would you have?
He's not fighting for the title.
Oh, sorry, not Brian. Brian's not fighting for the title. He's against Yair. We just talked about it. But who would you have picked
in the top
for Aljo?
15?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in the top 10. You know, you can't. 10? I wouldn't disrespect him like that. I mean, I feel like Calvin Kattar is probably the threshold of where I would have had him.
If I was
the UFC,
well, no. If I was Aljo's team, the guy I would have picked is Giga Chikadze.
Yeah, I could see that. Because he has nothing on the ground.
Yeah, no, nothing. He has. Dude, once you get him to the ground, it's over.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. I would have said maybe Bryce Mitchell before that knockout.
No, see, but Bryce Mitchell matches up well with.
Yeah. It would have been a fun fight.
It would have been a fun fight, but if I am Aljamain's team, I'm looking for the fight that, hey, I have a distinct advantage somewhere. Where is that advantage going to come in? And I'm going to say it's going to be against Giga. Now, obviously, in the stand-up, Giga's a monster. You're going to have to get past that, but you have a definitive route to winning this fight by getting a takedown.
Well, let's say Aljo goes out there and gets a submission against Calvin Kattar in the first or second round. I mean, where do you jump him then? I mean, he's a former champion.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't get the respect he deserves. And where do you jump him?
My next matchup?
Yeah.
Arnold Allen.
And then after that?
That's going to be a tough one because Arnold's big.
Yeah.
For that weight class,
yeah.
too. But I actually think Aljamain's he's gonna fare, pretty well at 45 as far as his size. He's a muscular guy and he was losing a lot of weight.
Yeah.
For his fights. And so I think the 10 pounds is going to help him as far as the way he feels for the fight. And sometimes just feeling better, makes your fight better. So,
well, these guys will we see a jump in performance like we saw with Figgy in that fight? When Figgy came up to 135, will we see a jump in performance with Aljo at 145?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Do you think we will?
I don't know because I didn't think he fought. I thought that there was clear indications from Davidson that he was losing too much weight.
Mhm.
You could see that he would get tired in fights. Now that he had his second fight against Brandon Moreno just looked like, even his first fight, he got tired. And his second fight, just no energy there. The third fight, he looked good. So I can't say it, but you saw times that he absolutely was falling off of the cliff as far as his output, his energy. It just wasn't there. I haven't seen that with ALJO at 135.
Yeah.
He's got energy. He's got output. He goes out there and he fights. And so I haven't seen, him have the same problems as what I saw Figueiredo was having at 125 with the cut. So he's the one that knows exactly how much it's affecting him. We're going to find out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that he'll have a little bit of a speed advantage in the grappling and the wrestling against certain fighters. He's going to have a little bit of because like with Figgy, you could tell when he came up to 35, he just seemed so much quicker. He just seemed really. Now that's going to change depending on who the opponent is.
Yes,
but I think Calvin Kattar, because he does just kind of slowly, methodically walk you down and just try to box you off a couple kicks here and there. I think he's going to avoid the kicking probably a little bit more, even more so in this fight to avoid getting the leg caught in the takedown. And ALJO wants to fight at the ground, good top pressure. Will the strength be a factor? The size be a factor? I don't think so, because ALJO does cut a lot of weight. He fills out quite a bit when he's out of camp. And I like this jump up for him. Just my only concern with him in the jump up is that when he gets to the Brian Ortega, he's huge. When he gets to the Max Holloway, they're big for the weight. So that's where I'm wondering, man, where is this going to benefit you? That's where you're going to have your hard time. But we're going to see cream rise to the top. But if he does beat Calvin Kattar, I would like to see him, because he was a champ. He did defend his title several times. I'd like to see him fight Max Holloway, because Max is in this no man's land. Yeah, Max is like in this no man's land of, okay, what's next for me? What am I doing? I'd like to see the Max Holloway fight. I agree with you on the Arnold Allen. If you can't get to Max, then go to Arnold. I agree, but I'd like to see the Max fight.
It's a good matchup.
Former champion versus former champion, great matchup.
Yeah,
so
would be interesting. Next. Bo Nickal against Cody Brundage. Cody coming off of a big win, that big slam. It was the second slam in a row. I think his was the second one. Mm-hmm. But Cody lives off of his wrestling is good. It ain't good compared to Bo Nickal, man. And we've seen the one thing you've seen. Cody Brundage has a hard time. I don't want to say this in a bad way, because I really like him as a fighter, because I do think he's got talent. Having talent and having confidence are two different things. And Bo Nickal has confidence. Bo Nickal, he has confidence that I can out wrestle you, I can outstrike you. Cody Brundage is now taking this fight, and no matter what, Josh, in the back of his mind, and all wrestlers do this, they look at this and they go, they don't even, they outwardly they say, yeah, it's not a wrestling match, it's MMA. This ain't a wrestling match, this is MMA. But in the back of their mind, they go, God damn, he was a good wrestler. God damn, he can wrestle. God damn, if it was a wrestling match, and it's just sitting there, and it festers, it brews, and I just look at this, and Bo Nickal is what now, 2-0 in the UFC, and he's gonna be a monster. He's gonna be. I'm telling you right now, Bo Nickal will be part of my matchmaking.
Okay,
I'm just giving it to you.
Okay.
I just looking at it right there, I was like, yep, he's going to be part of it. And I know who I would put him against.
Okay.
But this is not what I would say is a good matchup for Cody Brundage.
It's not a good matchup for him at all. And I don't want to, I'm not talking trash in the UFC. This is a smart play by them. They're doing the Conor McGregor thing a little bit.
Yes, they are.
And Bo, what's funny is that Bo is confident. Bo doesn't, I like his trash talk. Because it comes from,
he doesn't really trash talk bad.
Yeah, he did not trash talk bad, but he does have a way of trash talking. And what I like is that it's a type of trash talk that comes with confidence of what I've achieved already.
Yes.
So I have that room. I've got
what I've done.
I should be given that leeway to say these things because I am the best wrestler probably in this whole promotion. I mean, if who else is in there that would be a better wrestler than him?
The only one you could put next to him would be
Henry
Cejudo.
Henry. Yeah, I think that'd be about it. I mean, in terms of American wrestling style.
Well, American wrestling style, Bo Nickal's the best. If you're talking folk style,
yeah,
we're talking folk style.
Yeah, we're talking. If we're talking, just I think just in wrestling in general.
Folk style, Bo Nickal's.
Yeah,
the best
Bo
one,
Nickal would be the best. Henry's I get it.
Henry's a freestyle.
Yeah, freestyle international wrestler. Yeah. When I look at Bo, he's got power in his hands. He knows he doesn't have to worry about really getting taken down. He'll out scramble you. If you go back and watch some of his college wrestling matches, there's like absolutely no quit. There's no quit. Like this guy will be there. Even when it's a 5-round fight, he will be there. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the ginger in him. I don't know. But he's got the
You
no
have
quit.
got to separate Bo Nickal from his senses.
Yep.
That's how you beat him. I'm not saying it can be done. I'm not, well, obviously it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy to do.
But here's the other thing. Maybe you can catch him in some sort of transition and when he's wrestling. You can get the guillotine, get the arm and guillotine.
Did you watch his match against Gordon Ryan?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Gordon Ryan was bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. And now Gordon Ryan obviously knew where he was going to be strong, and Bo Nickal knew where he was going to be strong. And so it was a matter of Gordon had a hell of a time trying to get him to the ground.
Yeah.
Couldn't really do it. But we're talking about, you name me a better no-gi jiu-jitsu stylist than Gordon Ryan.
Is that a serious question?
Yeah.
John, there is none.
Thank you.
John, I was like, is that a serious question?
And that guy went with him for 30 minutes.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I do.
And that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. I think because he's a smart fighter. He was always a smart wrestler. I think he's a smart fighter. I think what he did before he jumped into the sport is that he understood these are the positions that I could get caught in. Guillotine, arming guillotine, dar, side choke, all these type of things. Just in exchanges and me wrestling, my neck being caught basically in all of them. I think he just practiced and drilled and focused on the defense for those if he had to. And where he should keep his head, turtle his head at certain points to make sure that his neck wasn't available. And turning the corner, getting in the wrestling, turning the corner, getting more to the back, and then getting to the waist. Being able to hold around the waist versus in wrestling, you're not able to when they're on the ground, lift and
slam.
You
also can't, being able to take and clasp your hands together and hold people, totally different.
Yeah. This is not a good matchup for Cody, and Cody's gonna have to catch him in the transition in the wrestling, or he's gonna have to get the knockout. And I think in this fight, that Bo's gonna keep this fight on the feet. He's gonna try. He's been talking about for a while now. He's gonna show his stand up. I know we saw it in the last fight, with the big shots. But I'm saying that I think in this fight, he wants to showcase more of his stand up in terms of, I have good stand up. I have clean stand up. I'm not just a wrestler who can get past your guards like a hot knife through butter and just boom right to the submission. I'm not just that guy. I'm not.
Why not be that guy?
He can be. I think he can pick and choose when he wants to be that guy when your wrestling's that good.
Yep.
That's the benefit of being a good wrestler. People, I think you have to, if you're at home watching fighters, like, oh, why is he wrestling? Because he can.
Because he can. Because it's smart.
Yeah. Yep. He's got all the tools, man. I like his confidence, trash talk. I like the way, I like what he's doing right now. So I'm excited to see where he leads. I'm not looking past Cody, but matchup wise, this is a favorable matchup for Bo Nickal.
Yeah.
Next fight.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Go. I'm sorry. Did I take that from you, Dave?
Yeah, you breathe
I
in.
apologize.
You breathe in kind of hard, and I was like, "Oh, John's going to take this one."
Sorry.
Breathing kind of hard.
Aaron
That's 'cause
Blanchfield
I'm
versus Man
exhausted
Fiorot at UFC Fight Night at Atlantic City in March.
When was the last time they were in Atlantic City?
A long time.
Jeez,
Long
man.
time.
Woo.
Long time. Yeah.
What hotel were they? Where would they be going for that?
Probably Boardwalk.
Yeah, I figured
Boardwalk
that. But like
Hall.
where? But the old school one. Because weren't they having them at the Revel for a second?
The
Then
Rev.
The Rev, is it the Rev?
Yeah.
And then they went out of business, I think.
Did they go out of business?
They went in business. They opened up right before COVID.
Damn.
Yeah, they opened up right before COVID, and then guess what?
Nice move.
Bink. They went out of business, I think. Ah.
Yeah.
12-1
This
versus
is-
11-1.
Well, this is your basic. Aaron Blanchfield is trying to become a striker
Mm-hmm.
because her grappling is fantastic, and Manuel Fiorot is trying to become a grappler because her stand-up is fantastic. So we're going to see who's able to keep this fight in the realm that they want it to be. It's obvious that Aaron Blanchfield is going to want to take Manuel to the ground, and Manuel is going to do everything she can to make sure that this thing stays where it starts, and that's on the feet. And she's been looking really good. You know, you got to give her credit.
Who's she?
She's, Manuel Fiorot.
Okay.
She really has. I like Aaron Blanchfield, and on the ground, she's aggressive and she goes after people, but her stand-up is not real impressive. And so I look at the difference in their stand-up, and it's like, to me, Aaron Blanchfield is going to almost be starting out as a panic wrestler.
Okay.
Looking for, just diving for takedowns, because she does not want to be in any kind of stand-up, confrontation for very long with Mano.
Mm.
Both are strong in their areas.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of where does this fight take place.
I mean, we just talked about the Sterling Kattar fight. There's nothing wrong with chasing for the low level.
Oh, there we go. See, and I was going to say, well, you came up with a game plan before, Aljamain. That's the same game plan.
Yeah.
If you're Aaron Blanchfield, you got to go for that.
Yep. You got to be in great shape though to have that game plan work for you.
Yeah, you do.
Because it does
Look
something
at
to
just
your
getting up off of the ground when the referee tells you to stand up.
Yep.
Just that. It's burning energy.
Well, it gets into your psyche. Whether you knew that was the game plan to begin with, it gets into your psyche like, oh man, I missed another one. Oh man, how long is this going to go on? I was expecting I don't have to shoot once or twice, and then I get her down. It gets into your psyche, but you just got to keep grinding. You got to keep pressing. You got to put the ego to the side and be like, hey, look, whatever it takes for me to get to that body lock or to that single leg or that double leg or press them to the fence, whatever it takes, I got to get there to that over under. And she's got to bury her ego, put some pressure, move her head offline, close that distance, get to the body lock or get in on the leg or something, and get this fight to the ground. I think once it does get to the ground, I don't think Fiorot will be the same fighter going in the second round. If she can get her down early, John, I get it.
Okay, what was Manuel Fiorot's last fight? Right? Rose Namajunas. Okay. And Rose in the stand-up was doing okay, but there was some times that, just the size was just, I thought, a little bit much, but when she tried to get the fight to the ground, and Rose is not bad at getting the fight, really wasn't able to. So Aaron Blanchfield is going to have to take a look at what Rose did, how she was trying, and how Manuel was able to defend, and figure out a route past that.
Yeah. I think we can't compare Aaron Blanchfield with Rose only based on the fact that
completely different.
Yeah, Aaron's a bigger female, and giving up the weight, Rose coming up. I mean, been fighting at 115 for a while. That type of stuff, it makes a difference. I agree. I also think that I don't know. I'm leaning more towards Aaron Blanchfield. I think she will get this fight to the ground, and I think every time she gets this fight to the ground, it's going to be even harder for Fiorot to get back up. And I'll just get back up. She won't be the same fighter on the feet because of the hesitation to pull the trigger. That's 1, 2, the cardio to get back up. You start slowing down, the energy, like you said, just getting up from the bottom. Just even when no one's on you, it's like, exhausting. But Aaron's got to get her down. If she doesn't get her down early in the first round, it starts giving Fiorot the confidence in the second and in the third, and I can stuff your takedowns. And so it gives me a throwback kind of fight, right? Where you have UFC 1, UFC 2, like styles of the fights. And this is kind of where you have.
Yeah. I like, it's funny because you're leaning towards Aaron, and I can understand why. Mm-hmm. I'm leaning towards Mano.
Yeah, I can tell the way you're talking to me like this.
It's just, I look at, if Blanchfield had great wrestling, if Blanchfield had Tatiana Suarez type wrestling, I would say, yeah, I'm going Blanchfield.
Got it. Hey guys, before we carry on with the rest of the show, I want you guys to go to onlyfans.com/weighing in. I've seen a couple people in there in the comments, because I read them, and saying, hey, I don't follow you. We don't subscribe to your page because you guys are on OnlyFans. I'm like, okay, look, I actually talked to some of the people at OnlyFans. That's fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's up to you. But I have been posting some of my stuff up about me and stem cell treatments at CPI. Talked with them as of recently. My recovery is going great. Like I said, I can look all the way up to the sky. No pain in my neck. I love that. John can't do that because he's got a plate and some screws in his neck. But I can, because I got ahead of it.
You're a show off.
I am a show off. John, do this. John, go ahead. Oh, there we go. Look at that. If your eyeballs move, doesn't mean your head does. John's like, there. Can you see?
I can do it. There it is. That's it. I'm looking up.
I have noticed. I've posted about this on onlyfans.com/weighing in. Subscribe to us over there. It's free. I posted about my first day of treatment over there. We were having some problems with the page. For some reason, I talked to them. Things were getting flagged for not some
being
reason.
Sexy enough.
No, I think they thought it was illegal content in terms of, it looked like I was, because I have them drawing blood, so they weren't sure if I was showing like either drug use or whatever. But it got flagged, and then during the holidays, their review process was a little bit slower. So I was actually able to repost it all. I got day 1 up there. I'm going to do day 2 and day 3 today and tomorrow, so you guys have some extra content to look at. I'm also going to be giving a review on how I'm feeling from CPI in terms of CPI stem cells. They did a great job. I've been in contact with them. I started my rehab now after the first 2 weeks. Feel good, man. Knee feels really good. Yeah. There's moments where they said I would get a couple little like phantom pains. I get like these little pains kind of on the outside of my calf. They kind of just hit real quick, and then they go away probably about 5-10 minutes later. But I think some of that has to do with me doing the rehab as well. No weight bearing rehab yet, just all, flexing the toes up and lifting the leg and moving it left and right, those type of things. Do a couple of little band work exercises. But I'm going to go ahead and post some of the some of the rehab that I'm doing as well on onlyfans.com/weighing in. Subscribe to us over there. All the posts should be coming up in this next couple of days. So I know that we had some problems with that, but follow us over there. Thank you guys. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell notifications. We got shows dropping a little different times this week, only based on the fact that
it's the holidays. It's the
holidays, man. We're trying to give you guys some extra content, a little bit here and there, as best we can. John and I are putting together some fight cards. We'll do one fight card for PFL/Bellator. Just one, though. A full main card, and then we'll do one for the UFC, full main card of fights that we would like to see all on one card, or fights that we would love to see, just period. If we can get that fight. Yep. But we'll put a fight card together for you. Then we're also going to do the weighing in the end of the year awards. It won't be all crazy with like 50 categories, okay? But we're going to pick out the categories probably right after the show, and we're going to drop them next week right before New Year's. Or will it be before New Year's? It should be before New Year's.
Yeah, because New Year's is Monday, so New Year's is the Sunday night. So
gotcha. So we'll drop it on Sunday. We'll drop it on the Sunday show, and you guys can tune in and watch that. Give you guys something to do over your holiday weekend. All right. So I want to thank you guys for continuing to support us, and not John, but Dave.
Dave,
you have
go.
some news, buddy.
Yeah. So
this was one of Dave's texts.
His
troll text.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your reaction here to Joe Rogan's comments on his podcast with Nickal. It was based around fighting in the UFC, kind of being top tier at that point, and talking about fighters coming over there. Here, I'll read the quote to you, and then let's get your reaction. Joe says, there's very good fighters in other organizations, but I often feel like they're wasting their career. I see these elite fighters that are fighting in Bellator or PFL, and I'm like, hey guys, no one's watching. I mean, some people are watching. You're getting a bit of a fan base. I don't want to disrespect, but there's a reality. There's the XFL and there's the CFL, then there's the fucking NFL. And if you're not in the fucking NFL, are you really playing football?
You go first.
You go first. Okay, first off, if you're not playing in the NFL, are you playing football? Yeah, you're playing football. When you're in college, it's football. When you're in high school, it's football. Football is football. I don't care what letters are in front of it. Now,
read between the lines.
Shut the fuck up.
There's that
this
troll.
Is why.
There's that troll.
This is the one thing that Joe's right about. And this is what I've said all the time about the UFC and fighters, because you have to break this down and look at what's important. And what's important to each fighter is individual. And I've told fighters to their face, look, you need to decide, what is the reason you're fighting? Is it to become famous? And if it is, the UFC is the best option for you. They have the best marketing, and they are going to, if you do what you're supposed to do, they're going to put that marketing behind you, and more people are going to know you than ever before. If that's the reason you're fighting. If you're fighting for money, they're not the best option. Okay, the PFL, Bellator at the time, all had to. They had to, Josh, and it's because the UFC is the biggest. But the UFC has, proven time and time again, look, besides a couple of people, the best paid fighters are outside of the UFC. Okay. A couple in the UFC make really good money. Okay. But it's only a couple. And so you have to look and say, what is the reason you're fighting? And look, I've had guys say it both ways. I am fighting. They're 24 years old. They're 25 years old. I want to be the best in the world. I want everyone to know who I am. Go to the UFC, dude. That's where you need to be, because what your ego is telling you, and it's okay, we all have an ego. There's nothing wrong with it. But what your ego is saying is, I need people to, when I say, oh, I fight for a living. Really, who do you fight for? I fight for the UFC. They equate that to the NFL for football. Mm-hmm. Because if you say that I play football, right? And people go, you play football? You play in the NFL? No, I play for the XFL. People are automatically going to say, oh, that's a little bit different, just like what Joe is saying. If you say, I'm an MMA fighter, do you fight in the UFC? No, I fight in the PFL. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's different. It's what's the difference between those? There's no difference. They're just two different promotions. But people, because the UFC's marketing has done so, automatically equate the UFC in the world of MMA with the NFL, and they should. It has reached that. So by saying I fight for the UFC, that automatically establishes to anybody out there that's a casual, oh, you're actually good. Yeah, that's the way they're looking. Now, that's not quite true, because look at with the number of people that the UFC have, they've got a lot of people on there that they're okay, but they're not, they're definitely not, best in the world. They're definitely not someone that is going to be a world champion. They're definitely not someone that someone from another organization cannot go and beat handily. Mm-hmm. But the top people they have are that good. So you have to just figure out, what is it that you want? What Joe is doing here is he's working for his employer. He's working for his friend in Dana and saying it. And he's saying, I want to see, and I don't blame Joe for saying it, I want to see everybody in the UFC. Okay. I don't blame you, because you want to see these guys fight these other guys here, but you're not paying them, and the UFC is not going to pay them. And so when you take a look at how much they can make fighting in these other leagues, and their egos are not so much that they really care about who knows them, you're going to find people that fame is everything. I'll tell you what, what good is fame? It's a pain in the ass. Okay. Don't need it. Don't want it. But there are people that do. And so, Joe's going to have his opinion. I look at it and I kind of laugh at it, but it's all good.
Let's break it down. Look, let me just start off by saying that I don't have a problem whatsoever with what Joe says. I mean, Joe definitely he hit some good points on this, very good points. Yeah. And whether we agree with him or not it's we, or whether people agree with him or not, there's very good fighters in other organizations. Well, we've been saying that. Everyone's been saying that. I think people that have followed the sport, they know that. They know that there's other good fighters in one. They know.
Well,
there's
he
other
specifically
good
in this quote. I don't know where. You got it from MMA Junkie. They've altered what Joe said here too. Okay, because who he's talking about? He's talking about Johnny Eblen, because he brings up Johnny Eblen's name.
Okay,
and he says, "Look, Johnny Eblen he's a fucking monster, man. I would love to see him fight in the."
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about Johnny Eblen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame you. You're right. He would be awesome to watch in the UFC's 185-pound division. In
Absolutely.
fact, he's the sparring partner at times of the guy who's your champion right now, and everyone knows how those things would go. We had Eric Nixick on the fucking show, and who did he say? If I was, hey, if you could train anyone, who's the guy? He goes, Johnny Eblen.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yep. But I mean, like I was saying with this though, his quote here. There's very good fighters in other organizations. He's absolutely correct. I'm just going to break down the quote. But I often feel like they're wasting their career. Now, like you said, and like I've said for a long time, is it really comes down to what's important to the fighter.
That's it.
That's where like we as fans, of course, we want to see them all in under one banner. But when you do that, you're taking away what they get paid. They don't have as much negotiating rights. And that's the biggest thing. Until the UFC starts paying the fighters a lot more money, the lower level fighters, the mid-tier fighters, or even the top, I don't think people realize the top 3, top 4, just because you're in that top 3 or 4 doesn't mean you're getting paid. It just means you're really fucking good.
Yep. That's
what it means. And so it says, but I often feel like they're wasting their career. So let's figure out what's good for them. Let's figure out where they want to be. Do you want to be famous, like you said? Okay. Or do you want to make a lot of money? Now, everyone's going to go to say like, well, Connor makes this. You're going to take the top 0.0000.
Connor's number one.
Number 1%. You're going to take that top 0.0001% and try to use them as an example. But that's not the case for everyone else. Like, look, Patrick Mahomes makes all this money, $550 million, okay, for a 10-year contract. Okay, but I can just tell you that his DBs are not making that money. They're not making anywhere near that money. Okay. Then it says, I see these elite fighters that are fighting in Bellator or PFL, and I'm like, hey, you guys, no one's watching. I would have agreed or disagreed with you a little bit, but in terms of the level of which the UFC they're getting their views, he's right. They weren't watching. Also, when we went to Showtime, and nothing against Showtime, I loved everyone that I worked with there. The numbers weren't there. We went from CBS Sports, which was doing about 300,000, 250 to 300,000 watches or views when we were on it, and then we went to Showtime, which was a paid platform, which we went down to about 120,000 views. And sometimes it only hit 100,000 views depending on what it was. You're losing half your market when you do something like that. So I agree. Yes, people were watching, and at times they weren't watching. But in this scenario when we finished out on Showtime, it was very rare that a lot of people got to watch. 200,000, 300,000, it was rare.
But you got to look, take that as a point though. When you look at the number of people available, because we'll take Bellator real quick. Bellator was with Spike. There was 90 some million available. Okay. And then they did one of their shows did 3 point some million with thing, but then they went from there to Paramount. It went down to 54 million. Then they went to CBS Sports, 35 million. Then that was 48 million. Then it went to Showtime, which is a paywall, 20
million. Yeah.
It's like you're cutting your ability for people to see you away just right there.
Joe's not saying anything that's wrong. He's speaking his mind, and he's correct on a lot of things. It says, but the reality is the XFL and there's the CFL, then there's the fucking NFL. And look, John and I have been very clear. The UFC right now is the NFL.
No doubt.
There's no doubt about it. They're marketing. They know they've been doing this for a long time. He's 100% correct. But it doesn't always come down to Dana White wanting the best fighter and then getting it. It doesn't work that way. It's like the Rams, they wanted the best quarterback. They went out and got Stafford that was available. You know, like the Lakers, they want LeBron James. They went out and got LeBron James. The availability of where they can go there in terms of the NFL and the NBA, it's the NFL and the NBA. Not all the fighters, they want to get paid. And I agree with you that it started with Strikeforce, Lead XC. It started with those promotions. They had to pay more because why would you not get paid more to go to a show that's not considered to be the best show? Go to the UFC if they're going to pay you that. That's why when guys like Michael Chandler and MVP and those guys, they went, like MVP said, he said something about like, I'm here, but I'm not here for long or something like that. I think in one of his interviews, he understands that his timetable on him to be successful in the UFC is coming to a close. Yeah. You know, so I made a ton of money. I made a lot of money in Bellator. And now I'm going to go to the UFC and capitalize and get a lot of supporters, a lot of fans.
But it's because of the fact, and here's your thing, and this happened with Michael Chandler too. It is because of the fact that you were fighting in Bellator, making a lot of money, that you were able to showcase what you could do. And if you're going to look at Michael Venom Page, I've never seen someone physically hurt people as badly as Michael Venom Page has in a cage. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're talking broken skulls, one kick, destroying their knee, blowing out their patella tendons. Look at Derek Anderson's nose off of a kick. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. But it took him doing those things. Now he knows what he made at Bellator. Now he goes and his management goes to the UFC and says, look, you know, this is the guy you want. And the UFC goes, yeah, we want him. Yeah, we know we want him. Do we want to pay him what he was basically making at that location, that promotion? Because, and you know, and I'll give MVP all the credit in the world, you know, because we saw his name up on the board and stuff, that little leak, but then he went to the PFL, you know, and started the negotiations, but went there and did the little stare down with Doumbé, and you look and you go, oh, maybe he will, you know, sign with the PFL. And he did that. And what did that do with the UFC? That made them say, do we want this guy? Yep. Do we want him? We do. Pay him.
Yeah,
and
because
so he's getting paid.
Because the UK TV contracts that they have over there are with Bellator, and having him stay with Bellator/PFL and then go over there and fight Doumbé, that would just, I mean, they would crush it. They would kill it. They bring automatic notoriety to the two of them fighting potentially over there in the UK. Huge fight.
Yes, exactly.
But let me go back.
So they had to pay him.
Yeah. Let me go backwards in time a little bit, because we use Chandler as an example. We're using MVP as an example. Let me use another fighter as an example who went to the World Series of Fighting. It was someone that I'm really close with, Anthony Rumble Johnson. He left making like $200,000, $150,000 a fight, $200,000 a fight. He left making that amount of money. When they cut him, he fought Vitor Belfort, all that stuff. He didn't make weight, all those things. They released him. Guess what? He went over there, never won the title at the World Series of Fighting.
Nope.
Fought some fights, had some great performances, came back, made almost $1 million a fight. He's making $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 fighting DC,
making
fighting for
four
the
times the amount.
Yes,
he was before,
and the reason,
and that's because he became valuable.
Yes.
Where did he become valuable?
In another organization.
There you go.
And that's what you have to do. And look, I'm not telling people where to go. And or I shouldn't say we, I'm going to say me. I tell fighters, go where the money is. Because as long as you keep winning, the UFC is going to always want you back. That top promotion always has to say that they have the best fighters. And they can't say that if you're beaten, if you're the champ in Bellator, if you're the champ in PFL, They're going to pay you that little extra to get you over. Okay. The only time
they would not have paid you if you were there and you wanted this bump to that same pay. They'd look at you and go, "What, you lost your mind?"
Yeah.
Because you don't have anything to put against it. You've got to have that other promotion there giving you the ability to say, we will have you fight for this amount of money. Now the UFC can either match it. They're going to have to, more than match it, put a little bit more than, and give you that pay. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. If you look at chess players, if you look at fighters, whatever it is, okay, you can say in the one-on-one combat sports and also like in terms of chess or tennis, it's one thing to say, I beat this guy and this guy was or this female or this guy, he was a Wimbledon champion. He was a US Open champion. He was this, he was that. It's credentials that go along with it. So when I come across, I come from Bellator to the UFC, Bruce Buffer introduces you as former Bellator champion, former Strikeforce world champion, and
they will. You got to be honest. He will say former Strikeforce,
okay,
former Pride, because the UFC owns them, but he will not say you are a former. He does not say Michael Chandler, former 3-time Bellator lightweight champion. He does not say that.
He didn't say it.
Nope.
Really interesting.
Not, no.
Interesting. I
now,
thought
John Anik will.
Okay.
John Anik will say it, and he'll say he was a 3-time Bellator, but in the introductions, Bruce will not. He's told not to do that.
Okay, good. I mean, I'm not good. I'm just saying, I would have thought that they would have done it during the intro but then again, they did it for me when I was there. But like you said, they bought Strikeforce.
They bought Strikeforce.
Makes sense.
They own it.
Like I said, I broke down his quote. I have nothing. I can't say anything about it. Like, he's speaking his mind, and he is right about quite a bit of it. It just has to do with the way you look at what he's saying. I look at it differently because of Rumble Johnson and the experience of that. Anthony actually asked me to manage him, during that World Series of Fighting stint. So me and my other buddy, the two of us, he was asking us to manage him. I was like, look, man, I've got some feelers on how the management works, but I wouldn't feel right doing this. This is just us being friends. And he's like, no, this is what I want. I was like, no, we're good. I'm good. I don't want to manage anybody, but just understanding that portion of it and seeing what he ended up getting. I'm so happy for him in terms of what he ended up making. He made a ton of money during that time, but it was because he left and he came back and was having success in another organization. He found his weight class. He found all those things. He was actually fighting heavyweight over there. And when he came back to the UFC,
his first fight there was against Andrei Arlovsky.
Yeah, but he was actually fighting heavyweight over there. Then he got his weights dialed down and he came back and was fighting at 205. So the same thing can be done with the Michael Chandler situation and the same thing with MVP. Like, you have to understand that these other promotions have to pay them more. And once you can wrap your head around that I've always felt it's best for, if you don't want to go to the UFC right away and just fight all the killers leading up to a title shot and not get paid pennies on the dollar, I suggest you go to another organization, work your way up. If you believe you're going to be champ, work your way up to that top 3, top 4, whatever. You don't even have to be champion. Work your way into that number 1 title shot. Work your way into that top 1 contender, somewhere in there, and say, this is where I want to go. I want to go over here. Because I can tell you that Chandler, when he left, there was a lot of hype around Chandler regardless. He was a good fighter. He was exciting. He was fun to watch. He had great fights with Eddie Alvarez. Then he went over there. He automatically saw, after his first fight, a jump in his social media platform. He automatically saw a jump in his sponsorships, all of those things after the Dan Hooker fight. It worked out perfectly for him in the way that it should have worked out for him. Okay, the way he wanted, his management and him wanted it to work out. Great job on his part. He left knowing that there's not much time on my career. And MVP is now following suit, going, okay, look, I made a ton of money over there. I'm good. I'm comfortable. Now I can go over here, make a ton, if not more than he was making, because they know that, look, I have a short period of time. I'm only going to fight the best guys. I'm not going to say no to fights. You pay me this, I take whoever you put in front of me, but I prefer that they be in the top 5, top 8, top whatever. My conversation with them when I left Strikeforce, was we re-inked a 4-fight deal, was I only want to fight the top 5 guys. I think Nate at the time was number 4. He was like number 3 or 4 at the time. He just lost to Benson the fight before for the title. He was number 3, I think somewhere number 3 in there. I said, I only want to fight the top 5 guys. Okay. This is what I want. I thought I was going to retire there. I really did. And they gave me Nate. So the rest is history. Like, it really just came on. Like, those were the options that I try to create for myself. And I think anybody that comes from another organization and he goes to the UFC, you have to try to create those type of situations.
Yeah.
All right, next. What else you got for us?
All right, let's
Jesus.
look at this one. Colby Covington. And so I don't want to harp on it because we already
No, you're just bringing your man back up. I love it. Go ahead.
Last show we did go into a lot of conversation about the talk at the UFC 296, but Colby Covington has come out on a podcast and said that he broke his ankle in the first 30 seconds.
Now it's
into
his
the fight.
ankle. I thought it was his foot.
Oh, sorry, foot.
Foot.
Sorry, foot.
Yeah.
And so what do you guys think about this claim and how that potentially impacted the fight? Like, does it make sense?
If it was really broken, then it did impact the fight. It's harder to wrestle with a broken foot. I mean, it's kind of, I would think history has shown, or science would show, that it's hard to push off on that foot when it's broken.
It's hurting. It hurts.
Look, I read the comments.
I know a guy that broke his thumb in the first round of a championship fight. And I tell you what, to fight with a thumb that's kind of folded backwards and to fucking throw punches with it and grab hold of people and do those things and to actually be in the fight. I've known a lot of guys that have broken things during fights. Things happen during fights. And to sit there and to say, hey, this is the reason I lost. No, it's not. The reason you lost is you got beat by a better fighter.
Yeah. I mean, I read some of the comments, and it's so funny. We got called Colby haters in one, and then the post right below, or the comment right below, was, I couldn't agree with you guys more. Like, Colby just didn't show up. He just didn't fight. And it was like one after another of people calling us haters. And then the comment after that was, you guys are absolutely right about Colby. I'm done with watching him. I'm done with this. You know what? You guys should fight amongst each other in there. You guys are, it's like, it's so great. People are like, you guys hate Colby. You guys, dude, we don't hate any fighter. I don't hate any fighter. I can't speak for John. Maybe he does. But no. I don't hate any fighter. I try to call it as best I can. If you guys don't like it, then you don't
call
like
it the way
it.
you see it.
Yeah. And so Colby, I think, is good for the sport. I think that what he did was he overstepped, and you guys can call me a Karen. It's so funny. I was loving to hear that I was a Karen in the comments. I was loving to hear that I was a staunch liberal. That made me laugh. But this is one of those things, or they said, take your commie California ass back or some shit like that. I was like, oh wow, this is great. Because a ton of Californians moved to Texas because they're, anyways. It just was this is one of those things where if he broke his foot, he broke his foot. Then maybe that explains why he couldn't wrestle, or he wasn't wrestling as much as he could have.
Maybe he didn't wrestle as much as he wanted. Yeah.
But then he went on to say that he won the fight. He didn't win the fight. He went on to say he didn't win the fight because he's a Trump supporter. No, he just didn't win the fight. That's
this is where exactly what you're saying. This is where I have the problem, in that I go, what do you believe? Because did he break his foot? Okay, I'll say he broke his foot. Then he said, I won the fight. There wasn't not one, Josh, not one media outlet scored the fight for Colby Covington. Now, normally the media outlets, there's like 30 of them. One of them will score the fight for the opposite person, unless it's a submission or a knockout. Just always, not one. Okay. Then he says, they didn't give him the decision because he's a Trump supporter and the judges hate Trump. Judges got enough problems, dude. You're pulling up bullshit when you absolutely lose a fight 4 rounds to 1. And the one that you won was the 5th. You were able to take him down, but you didn't do any damage. Okay. You didn't do anything to actually win the damn fight. You won the round. Okay. The biggest problem with being who Colby is as a fighter is he's got the shtick, and when his performance doesn't match the shtick, it becomes the problem, because then you're looking and you're going, you're not who you say you were. You said you were going to do this. You said you're going to do this. You didn't do any of those things. And that's the problem with the shtick.
It's hard to be the heel.
It is.
Because once you start losing, man, they start, like you said, they start picking apart the things that you said you were going to do and you never did.
Yeah.
It's hard to be the heel. And we've seen snowball effects. Once you start losing, you can't get out of it because it's a mental thing. It's a mental, your confidence isn't there. People, you start reading the comments.
Let me ask this, and it just kind of popped in my head, and this, nothing against MMA Masters is where he's training at in Florida. They're a good group of guys. They got some, they're good instructors, good trainers, but he was at ATT and he had all the problems with Dustin Poirier and Masvidal and all those things happen. What's been his record since he left ATT?
What, 2-4 or 2 and I don't know. He's got 2 wins in his last 4 fights, I think.
Yeah. But
yeah, 2 wins, 5 fights.
But when did he leave? I think it was around 2019.
Probably
that he
somewhere
left.
here.
Yeah.
Lawler and Usman.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But the other thing, though, John, is it becomes because he's not as active. He hasn't been as active. Well, he keeps waiting for these title shots, and it's.
And I'm not even looking at it. And like I said, MMA Masters, great trainers and stuff. But it's the people you're surrounded by, and the people that you get to actually train with. The level of those people is what makes you get better and better. When you are facing guys that do things better than you all the time, and you're training with those guys, your level comes up. Mm-hmm. It's either that or you wash out. Okay. And you got to figure all those guys that he was able to train with, the Dustin Poiriers that were there, the Masvidals, the Eblins, the Yaroslavs, all these people that are there. Those are bodies that were making Colby get better and better and better. And now he's the big fish. Mm-hmm. Who's pushing him?
I used to tell this to the kids when I would train them in jiu-jitsu. I would tell the adults also, is that you can't be the best in jiu-jitsu if you don't have partners. But I was talking to more in terms of you can't hurt your partners, because then if you don't have partners, you're not learning jiu-jitsu rolling by yourself. And
that's being Hector Lombard.
Yeah,
and I love Hector, but it's true. Don't break your toys.
Yeah, and so. He's in the same position, but it's because of the trash talk. It's because he put himself in that position. The other thing with this is that doing the trash talk, in being so vocal like this, and causing problems at that one gym at ATT, where pretty much everyone loves to train, you've now told every coach in the country or in the world that you're not easy to work with, and you could potentially be a cancer. Why would I want to have you at my gym? Why would I want to train with you? And who would I bring in to work with you at the level which you need help with that isn't going to hate me for training you? Let's just say, who's the coach? Trevor Whitman. Let's just say Trevor was like, hey, let me bring you in. I'll hold for you. I'll work with you. I'll get you better on the feet. Work on some game planning. You automatically know he's going to try to bring in Gaethje and Kamaru to kind of help wrestle with him and grapple with him or train with him and spar with him. Those guys have to like him.
Yeah.
That's gone. No way those guys like him. And so Trevor's not going to go out of his way to say, hey, come, I'll help you, get back. There's no way. These coaches now they're like, no, I'm not going to lose the ones that have been feeding me to take a chance on someone who is a firecracker. You never know what's going to happen. It can just explode in your hand at any moment.
You could take a look. Look at Dan Lambert is the one that owns ATT, and he loved Colby.
Yeah,
He loved Colby. And that was part of the reason Colby was there, and he tried to make it work with the other fighters, and he couldn't. In the end, he just couldn't. And someone had to go, and it ended up being Colby.
Wow.
The guy who owned ATT, he loved Colby.
And Dan's not an unreasonable guy. And
No.
because he's made it so easy for all those fighters to train, they
That's
understand
why it's
what
the way it is.
they understand what they have there, and they're like, okay, whatever Dan says. Like he didn't just own the gym; he helps provide for me and my family. Like he gives us a place, and he's been doing it since he opened that facility. I mean, the things he used to do in the beginning, way back when it was like Jay-Z and those guys. When it was American Top Team back then, with Jay-Z, Cavalcante, and Hermes Franca, and those guys. Yeah, George Santiago, Hermes Franca, those guys. I mean, that picture of this, their logo is Hermes Franca.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. He's given these fighters, they understand what they have. And for someone to have to be kicked out or asked to leave, man, you've done something, man. You've really ruffled feathers. You've really ruffled feathers. And like I said earlier, it's hard to be the hill. Because no matter where he goes now, the MMA Masters or wherever the gym is that he's at now, like I don't see a lot of other locations, not with any notable coaches that would be willing to take him. MMA Masters has good coaches and they're good there, but who do they have there to help him get better? Like you said, iron sharpen iron type thing.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. Like with boxers, right? Boxers have one coach, and what they do is they kind of travel. They take their boxer to so-and-so, or they have people come to them.
Somebody.
Yeah, bring somebody in to get them ready. Andre Ward used to spar with the guy who used to help train in boxing, Ricardo Cortez. And they would come to AKA. Ricardo was there at a certain time, and they would come and they would have Ricardo and him spar. It just, you can get good that way, but you still need guys to spar with, and you have to find those guys. You can't get better at boxing just shadow boxing. You can get better, but you're not going to get world champion status better.
That's right.
So, but just to clarify, the last thing I'm going to say on the Colby Covington thing, I like Colby. I like him as a stick. I thought he overstepped, and he did. No matter how you cut it, and if you say he didn't, I don't care. I like him. I want to see him continue to fight. I did overstep a little bit. I will watch him fight, but I honestly don't think he's going to be a main event pay-per-view fighter for a long time. I don't think he's going to be there anymore. They're going to have him as an opening prelim, not prelim like prelims. He'll be an opening main card fighter or a middle of the card main card fighter. He won't be the main event, I don't think, again. And if he is, it won't be on a pay-per-view. I think that the comments of Dana afterwards, he just didn't seem like, I think he was done with the Colby thing. I got that vibe and that feeling is that he just was, he's kind of tired of it. Think about this. Dana doesn't like when you call fighters and they're like, they try to put like, no, I want this to happen. I want that. It seems like Colby gives them no other option, but like, let's just give him the title shot. He's in that mix. He's always in that mix. He waits for, give me a better opponent. Give me this guy. Give me that guy. And Dana's made it very clear. Maybe he sells pay-per-views, but when you start giving me a hard time, you start turning down fights, then I don't have space for you.
I like guys that fight.
Yeah.
Dana says it all the time. I like guys, they want to fight.
Yeah. Makes his job easier. I don't need to play
Exactly.
matchmaker. When fighters are on Twitter going, hey, I want this fight. This fight is like, fuck it, do it. Like, I want guys that fight. I want guys that can put their own matchups together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Dave, what else you got for us? You got anything else for us?
Yeah, we're going to wrap up on a high, no pun intended.
Very nice, Dave.
Well
all the pun.
Well done. No pun intended.
Matt Riddle is talking about returning to MMA. Don't know if that'll be UFC. Doubt it. But what do you guys think? Where does he fit in the mix? And at his age of 37, does he have much of a?
What weight would he fight at?
Boy, that's the question I have right now, because he was a welterweight.
70 pounder, right?
Yeah, he was a welterweight, but he's going to be. I mean, it depends on what he can get back down to, and where he would be comfortable. But let's just put it this way: here's the my thoughts on Matt. First off, I love Matt Riddle. He was hysterical to be around. He's a funny dude. He could fight. He was tough. He can wrestle his ass off. Okay, he had really good wrestling. His stand-up was coming along, dude. There was tournaments that he was in against John Jones, and he always came out on top in wrestling. The kid can wrestle. He has definitely got a good wrestling base. He's got the the gift of gab. He's got the complete pro wrestling shtick down. He could come in and make waves. I don't know what weight class. I would think at the minimum he could get down to the middleweight. I don't think he could get to welterweight again. That's asking a lot because he was much younger when he was fighting. But you take a look and say, the reason he left. Why did he leave? He left because of marijuana. Mm-hmm. At the time, they were testing for marijuana outside of, and he was getting caught because he smoked marijuana. Who cares? Who fucking cares? So he can come back. He can smoke marijuana. He can't smoke it the day of the fight. Okay, good for Matt Riddle. I would love to see him back. I don't know how. I don't know what injuries and what pro wrestling has done to him because although pro wrestling. I can't say is not real, is a predetermined outcome. The bumps are real. The bumps are real. The all of the abuse that these guys and their bodies take, that's all real, and that's damage that adds up and slows you down. So what are we going to see of Matt Riddle if he does come back? How is his speed going to be? How is his body going to be? But I would love to see him come back. I thought he was fun when he was actually in it to be a fighter, and I think he was fun as a pro wrestler. He's got a great personality. I would love to see someone pick him up.
Yeah, I honestly believe this feels like, UFC took a chance on CM Punk.
This isn't a chance. This is a proven.
That's what I'm saying, though, John. You took a chance on CM Punk. Why not bring back the guy that you guys already had? He can fight. Now, how much, look, being removed for 10 years. Have you been working on your grappling? Have you been working on your stand-up at all? Nothing.
Been working on a different type.
Different type of, and, how much is it? How much difference will that make? And the sport's changed so much in 10 years. Yeah. He can still wrestle. But luckily for him, if he does go to 85, or he does go to 205, whatever it is, whatever weight class he decides to go to, they haven't jumped as much as the 35 pounders, the 45 pounders, and the 55 pounders, and so forth. They've improved a ton since 2014, but the heavier guys don't show as much improvement as the lighter guys in terms of mixing it up, the level of grappling, the level of stand up, those type of things.
Just the transitions from one element to the next.
Yep. So when I look at Riddle coming back, I can see him making a little bit of a splash. At 37 years old, but if he's got the stick down and he can sell these fights, they pick, a couple good opponents for him and make it fun. Let's just say, let's pull up 85. Can you pull up 185? Right here. Let's say after he's, cleared by not USADA anymore, but he's cleared by whatever the company is. You put him against Paul Craig. You put him against Chris Curtis, who's a smaller 85 pounder.
Yeah, Chris.
And you put him against, Anthony Hernandez. You put him against, you could say.
I don't know if you want to put him against Anthony Hernandez.
No,
Fluffy, dude. Fluffy can fight.
I get it. But if he can wrestle, he can maybe try to hold Fluffy down. Fluffy's got good submissions also.
He's got good submissions off his back.
Yes,
he's one of those guys that does.
But that fight though, a little bit of, there'd be a little bit of a gimmick, a little bit of versus the, I think there could be something there. You wouldn't give any of these top guys off the bat. You'd give them somebody.
No, you can't.
You'd give them a warm up fight, maybe two, and then you'd have two, in 2024. Then maybe in 2025 when he's 39, because he turns 38 in February of 2024. There's something to be said. There's something to be had there. There's a little bit of, he's never going to be champion. They're not going to fast track him that way, but they will pay him to do the gimmick and the shtick and the, try to bring in the WWE fans. I mean, Dave's already watering at the mouth to see him come back. So, Dave, just wipe your chin.
Just a little.
Just wipe your chin, Dave. Wipe your chin. All right. What else you got for us, Dave?
We're going to wrap up there.
We're going to wrap up there. Go to weighinginmerch.com, weighinginmerch.com. Pick up some of our hoodies, sweaters, hats, all of those things that are available there. And, at weighinginmerch.com. Pick it up. Great Christmas gifts. It's not too late. It's not too late. You guys can have it overnighted. Let's go. Come on. All right. John, take it away, buddy.
I think it's too late.
Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the thumbs up and the notifications. We drop on our shows maybe at some different times this week because of the holidays to give you guys something to do while you guys are sitting
hit
around.
that subscribe button, because that subscribe button will allow you to say anything you want about Josh Thomson being a Karen, which is totally untrue. I'm just telling you right now, he's not a Karen. He may be a liberal, though. He may be a liberal. So everyone out there, have a fantastic day. We hope you enjoy what we have gone through here, and we will see you.